Hey there, Jakarkas here for Cord Cutters, the show that brings you the future of television today. On this episode, we're taking a first look at the Roku 3, a new streaming media player from Roku that brings internet television apps like Netflix and Hulu Plus and a whole bunch of other services to your television. They've been around for some time and they made these boxes for a while, and we recommended them over and over again during our gift guides in the holiday season because they're a good entry-level streaming device. This is now their third generation. You can kind of, the math is a little fuzzy about that because they have a bunch of new devices every now and then, but this is a major step for them because it comes with a new UI, which you can already see in the background. We're going to dive into that in a second. And it also comes with a remote control that has an interesting new feature, something that nobody else has done in the market. It has a headphone jack. So the Roku 3 is available online now for about $100 on the Roku website and on Amazon.com. And it's also going to be available in stores starting in April. What can it do? How good is it? Let's take a look. So as I said, they did a lot of work on the user interface for this. They changed it completely. In the past, Roku was known for this long horizontal scroll bar essentially, where you had to go left and right for channels. That worked when they had just a handful of channels. But now that they have, I think, about 750, it got a little bit unwieldy. It was a little hard to navigate. So instead, they replaced it with this kind of grid of apps. And what you see here is the apps that I have downloaded to my device, that I have subscribed to in a way. And you have Netflix here, Amazon, Hulu Plus, Pandora, a bunch of other things. And if you want to get more, if you want to have more content, different content on your device, you can go into the channel store. That also looks different now than on previous generations. It's sorted by categories here on the left, and then on the right you have the same grid, and you can go in and get information about any of those channels. So if you want to have the Amazon Cloud Player or Spotify, it tells you a little bit about it, and then you can easily subscribe to them just by adding them to your channel lineup. One other interesting new feature to this new Roku UI is the search functionality and the refined search functionality here. Basically can search content across a variety of their most popular apps, the most popular channels as it's called in Roku lingo. So you can search in the catalog from Netflix and Hulu Plus and Vudu for streaming episodes of your favorite content. Let's try this out here. If I go here and now type, for example, I want to watch an episode of Arrested Development. So I start typing. On-screen keywords are always a little painful, but it kind of works. You can see here they already teased the show. Then they go and show me the different seasons that are available across a variety of services. And if I then decide I want to watch something from season 3, then I can either go to Amazon, I can go to Vudu, Hulu Plus, or Netflix. And once I select it, I actually then once again fire up that app that gives me access to that content. One other unique feature pointing to is these headphones here that come with the Roku box and that you can plug into your remote control, which is really something I haven't seen on any of these kinds of devices yet. Basically, you can listen or you can watch a movie, and usually, of course, your speakers of your TV or your home theater system will blast it at you. But if you want to have like a more private listening experience, if you don't want to disturb other people in your house, you just plug this in, and what's going to happen then is that the sound automatically turns off on your TV, and instead it's going to be on your headphones. And there's a little volume rocker on the side here, so you can also adjust the volume. It's an interesting feature, but at the same time, I'm not sure how much I personally would use it. And I also feel like maybe this type of personal viewing experience is better served by just having an iPad and being able to curl up in bed or sit on the couch by yourself and then listen to something on your headphones and watch it. But maybe some people get use out of it. One thing I did notice with this hardware was that when I moved the remote control back and forth a little bit, occasionally there was a little bit of noise in the headphones. I don't know if that's unique to maybe this remote control here, or if that is something that's on all of these devices. I don't know how much you're going to move your remote control anyway when you watch a movie. So it might not be that big of an issue, but it might be worth keeping in mind. So that's the Roku 3 up close. They put a 3 on here so you won't confuse it with any previous generation Rokus, but it also looks a little bit different because it has a slightly smaller form factor. It shrunk a little bit. They made it a little rounder and thicker, or at least it looks thicker to me. And if you now look around here a little bit, in the front, It's unremarkable, except for there's a status light here that tells you that the device is on. Then on the side here is one USB port, which you can use to connect external storage, like a flash drive if you want to play local content on your Roku. So this is the back. Here is power in, a small hole to reset the device if that ever should be necessary. Then Ethernet here, really important, especially for people who have trouble with Wi-Fi in their household. I always recommend just plug that thing in. It's going to work so much better, especially with HD streaming. And speaking of HD, this is all optimized for new HD TVs. So the only way to connect it to your television is an HDMI out port. You won't be able to connect it to a previous generation, like boob tube kind of thing anymore with an AV out or anything like that. As previous Rokus had that, this one doesn't have it anymore. But this HDMI port gets you 1080p video, so as you would expect from a good device like this, or from a device for this price point. And then there's something interesting here under the HDMI port. I don't know if you can see it. It's kind of hidden here. It's a small slot where you can put a micro SD card in. Rokus traditionally have been kind of on the lower side of when it comes to storage that they integrate. So if you download a lot of apps or maybe a bunch of their games that they now offer, you might run out of storage and you might not be able to get anything else on this thing anymore. Then you can buy an SD card, you can kind of put it in here, and then you get space for additional content, for additional channels. It's a little bit cumbersome, but I guess it works if you ever need more storage. So that's it, the Roku 3 in a nutshell. It's a $100 device with a new UI and a remote control with a headphone jack. One thing worth pointing out is that the UI will also come to second generation Roku devices in April sometime through a software update. But I think it's still an interesting device if you're looking for a streaming box, want to spend $100 or a little less. It has most major channels, still doesn't have YouTube, but other than that it has everything you want. They improved the experience a lot, I think, within the UI. And I personally cannot make up my mind about this headphone jack, but maybe you think it's the best thing since sliced bread. So make up your own mind and tell us what you think about it by sending your comments to codcutters@gigom.com. Otherwise, I see you next time.